Yeah, we also Taeon Weavers. So apparently armies are like a dictionary or like a mode of information keeping because this has happened to us twice.
Hmm.
Hobie was like last week, okay, what did I say for Jimin's birthday?
Yeah, what pictures did I post for
Yeah.
Jimin's birthday
And
last
then
year?
this week, Tay was like, what's my personality quiz? So if you don't know, there's this thing called 16 personalities, and it basically puts you in a category of like introvert, extrovert, different notations in the categories of how personality is sort of determined. What is your personality?
Mine?
Yeah. Do you want to?
I am ISFJT, which is the Sentinel.
Oh.
So if we go into more like details, I'm like, because you have like mind, energy, nature, tactics, and identity. Those are like the five main like criteria they like during the quiz they check for to give you your personality type.
Yeah.
And so I am introverted. From what I said earlier, that was pretty obvious. Observant,
Mm.
feeling,
Yeah.
judging.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I analyze a lot. And turbulent.
Mm.
I am not stable to save my life, apparently.
It's okay. Neither am I, apparently.
Which basically, like, the Sentinel is represented by like a nurse character.
Ah, so like caregiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's pretty accurate. I'm like very caring and very loyal,
Mm-hmm.
very like I worry a lot about other people, sometimes more than about myself.
Mm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
I understand. I understand. So my personality is INTJT. And I am the architect, which apparently is one of the more rare personalities to have. Um, and so mine means introverted, uh, thinking, judging, and in intuitive. It's like, how do I explain that? Let me actually click on the thing. So I'm not observant. um, at all, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, people like have told me that even though like sometimes I can't talk a lot, like but that's when I'm comfortable with people.
Right, right,
But even when I'm comfortable with people or I'm with people that I don't necessarily know, I
right.
I'm able to distinguish and notice things in my environment and about people without even like just by being in the environment, I notice things that other people might not pick
Right,
up.
right.
And people are like you are so on point with a lot of things. So like sometimes people will tell me and they're like, you're giving such good advice. Like I haven't told you like XYZ and you've picked it up. I was like, that's because I'm observant and I analyze a lot by being judging. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
I have the
what can I
judging
say?
part of it. So like uh for the N part of that, people who have that are use their imaginations instead. So it's kind of like you're thinking about scenarios that don't actually happen. Like you could
Mm-hmm.
be thinking about like we spend more time thinking about the what if scenarios than actually like um going through with them. So
Yeah.
like a situation happens, but in our brains it's like you're thinking about all the scenarios that could happen, not the one that's actually currently happening. So like
Yeah.
all possible scenarios are going through your head at the same time. um we are more like practical, rather than uh like creative, I guess. um And we can come up with like 1,000 different theories in like minutes, leaving everybody else being like, "What? How did you come up with that so fast?" Yeah. Um. So part of my personality, like the first sentence into my personality is it can be lonely at the top. So that's fun. So rational, quick-witted, nonstop of analysis of everything around us is what my personality says.
Yeah, I can read a little bit of mine. It's like Sentinels are cooperative, practical, and grounded. They feel comfortable with who they are, and they take pride in their good character and their competence, which is true.
Mm.
These personality types seeks order, security, and stability, and they tend to work hard to maintain their way of things.
Mm.
This leads to a deserved reputation as a cornerstone of any group or organization, from family to church to the office and the
That makes
factory
sense.
floor. Like that last sentence, just thinking about how much like Tex relied on me at the pharmacy.
Yeah,
makes so much sense.
it makes a lot of sense. Mine has a lot of like so like this, I have like the loner wolf behavior. So like independent, want to shake off others people's expectations and pursue their own ideas. We also have a lot of social frustration because we're not really known as like the warm and fuzzy type of person. Prioritizing rationalization over feelings, but also like rationalizing and prioritizing that rationalization and success over politics or pleasantries. So like we don't necessarily care about being the most popular. We would rather just be correct or right in any given scenario, which is why we like to like learn and that kind of stuff. But the downside to that is like if my strengths and weaknesses are kind of hilarious because like rational, informed, independent, determined, curious, versatile, like those are all things that are like excellent and great. But the negatives are, arrogant a lot of the time. I don't know if I would consider myself arrogant, but maybe I am. Maybe I come across that way. Dismissive of emotions, which is definitely a characteristic that I hold. Overcritical is very much so.
Yep. Love you to pieces, but yep.
Combative sometimes. I feel like that's correct. And then romantically clueless is absolutely correct. Because the thing is like, because we care so much about like knowledge, we don't care about, we take the feeling out of a lot of things. So like if we're in a scenario where we need to rationalize something, we take away that human emotion part of it, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing at the same time, because if you're removing the human element, you're not looking at the full picture of things. What are some of like the architects like, or the archetypes that like that are listed as like how they categorize things? Like at the bottom, if you go down like to the introduction, there's like a list of people who
the name of my thing's actually like the defender. The sentinels, this is just like the
so who do you have in that category?
Let me see. I have Beyonce.
Okay, yeah.
Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh, interesting.
Aretha Franklin.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Vin Diesel. Halle Berry.
Okay.
Kate Middleton.
Oh.
Selena Gomez is in there.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Dr. Watson. Captain America. Let's go. Heck yes. I have Will Turner and Pam Beasley.
Wow.
Those are great. But like, if you go in, like in my like strength and weaknesses, like yeah, I have supportive,
Yeah.
strength, reliable and patient,
Yeah.
imaginative and observant,
Mm-hmm.
enthusiastic,
Yeah, definitely.
loyal and hardworking,
Yeah.
and good practical skills.
Yeah. All of those are true, I think.
Yeah, and then we get to weaknesses, and I'm just like humble and shy.
True.
Take things too personally.
True.
Yep. Repress their feelings.
Ooh. Yes.
Overload themselves.
Yes.
Yep. Reluctant to change. And the last one hurts. Well, this one is not as accurate, but it's still accurate. The last one hits hard for me. Too altruistic.
Yeah. 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 That's true. Sorry, but it is true.
Yeah, I know.
So some archetypes that are in my category, Michelle Obama.
Oh.
Elon Musk, which kill me. Christopher Nolan, so filmmaker.
Ooh.
Vladimir Putin.
So I get the queen and you get Putin.
Oh yeah. Colin Powell. Walter White from Breaking Bad. Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. Tywin Lannister. Gandalf the Grey.
Ooh.
Yennefer from the Witcher series. Professor Moriarty from freaking Sherlock Holmes. That one hurts. Katniss Everdeen.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, that fits. And Jay Gatsby from The Great Gatsby. Yeah. I have
from Game of Thrones, I have Caitlin Stark.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that the matriarchy of the Stark household definitely makes sense. I just find it very interesting. Was this your first time taking this quiz?
No, I've taken this quiz multiple times.
Have you?
At first I wasn't a defender.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Let me try to find what it was. So, I want to see all personalities, please.
So I've taken this quiz probably, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times, and I've gotten this particular personality trait every single time that I've taken this quiz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was in the diplomats before.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't remember which one. I think it was the same as Tay. I think it was the mediator.
Oh.
I was at first, and then I switched to defender.
So when do you think that you switched those traits? Like, when do you think that more of the like?
I think it started when I started college, because I took the test before when I was in secondary school.
Right.
Yeah, and I was I mean, I had less on my mind, obviously.
Right.
So yeah, I've been taking it like very early. Oh, what is this? Okay. And yeah, because I started working when I was in college. I was like 18 when I started working.
Right.
And I started working as a tutor. That was my first job.
Ah.
And so it was a lot about like taking care of others and like
Right.
help them learn, being like a kind of like a pillar to help other people. And then after that I started working in pharmacy. That just like solidified it in some
Mm.
way. But yeah, I do think it's when I started working that it took a turn. Because like the two are very well, not very. The two, like the mediator and the defender, are pretty similar.
Right.
And like in their core characteristics, so like kindness,
Right.
eager to help, and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Except that the defender is more like guarded.
Ah, okay. So not like sharing of emotions, but
Yes, exactly.
right.
It's
Okay.
like more guarded. They worry a lot more.
Mm.
Because like I've always been someone that worries. It just like became more as I grew up.
Right.
Um, but yeah, they're similar in that way. Because like the one liner for the mediator is poetic, kind, and altruistic people, always eager to help a good cause. And then you go
Mm.
to defender, it's very dedicated and warm protectors, always ready to defend their loved ones.
Ah, yeah, they are very
So
similar. But I think you're right. Like
it
the education sort of shifted that
yeah.
perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I would say,
Education and
yeah,
like your place in society like makes you see things in a different way.
totally. Yeah.
And so I mean I'm pretty satisfied with the personality type I have now. I mean,
Oh, mine is so accurate. It hurts.
yeah.
It hurts. It hurts me to my core.
Yeah, when I first started reading it I was like, okay, stop dragging me.
That's enough. Yeah, I've taken like a lot of especially in college or like in university, I took quite a few different like personality traits because I did a lot of like leadership roles. So we
Mm-hmm.
had in like second year we had this like leadership thing as a part of our like building because I lived on residence, and there you had to take a bunch of different like sort of like courses to help you with leadership, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them had you take a personality quiz, and a lot of them that I took were quite similar to this one, not like in depth as this one, but
Yeah.
definitely like similar personality traits like kept popping up
Yeah.
as that. I mean, part of me is like, that's great that I know that about me, but the other part of me is like, why do I know this now?
Because like there are also things that the personality quiz will tell you like, oh, those are good things, and you're
Yeah.
like, but
Are
what if they're
they?
not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
are they good things? Because like I look at the people who like they added there to be like, these are the people who have similar personalities to you, and I'm like, oh, that's great, like Michelle Obama's on there, but I'm like, the other part of that is Vladimir Putin's on there, so like, how am I supposed to feel about that? Or like you
Yeah.
have like, like Gandalf versus like Tywin Lannister, and you're just like, but how is that?
Mm-hmm.
So they took those
Because like
like,
there's also the fact that like your percentage of each category might be different of to people
yeah,
that are in the same personality type as you are.
it's true.
Because
I
like mine are a lot in like in the 60s. I have like 67, 62, 63, 71, and
Yeah.
68. So like none of them are like truly to the extreme.
Ironically, mine are all on that like even playing field. So like
Mm.
51, 51, 53. Only one
Jesus
is at,
Christ.
yeah, only one is at 60, which I think is interesting. Um
Do you know which one of mine is at 71?
the introverted one?
The introverted is 67. It's the judging one. I analyze too much, bro.
Mm, that one for me is at 53. Thinking is at 51, and introverted is at 51, which I think the introverted is interesting because a lot of people who I've like met do not categorize me as introverted.
Mm. I mean, kind of same for me. Like they're like
Yeah.
you're I'm shy at first, and once I'm comfortable, I'm like all over the place. But
See, and that's the complete opposite. Like I'm not and I don't know if I categorize myself as introverted necessarily. I think my thing is with introvert, extrovert, I think you can be both at the same time.
Yeah, I call myself an extroverted introvert.
And I would say I'm the opposite. I'm an introverted
I like
extrovert.
being around people. Like I like being around people, but like my social battery just like depletes so fast.
And I'm the opposite. I don't like necessarily being around people for long periods of time. That's probably why I got introverted, because I spend a lot of my time alone. But I can be extroverted, and I think that's why like people would categorize me as extroverted, because I play the part very well. I am very easy to like to get I play those parts very well. It's the same with like my emotional responses too. I play those parts very well.
Yeah.
Even though I might not necessarily want to have those feelings in those given times. I just think it's interesting that Tay brought that up, and then we had like an entire conversation on Twitter about.
I mean, there's always like with the 16 personality test, like even if it wasn't Tay, like there's always like a moment in time where someone like pops it up, and then everybody else like goes back to like, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, oh, I haven't taken the quiz, can someone give me the link, and blah blah blah. And so like it comes in like it comes and goes and comes and goes, it comes and goes.
It's honestly an interesting test to take, because especially if you're honest with your answers, that's what I would say is like the biggest thing when you're taking this quiz. Is a lot of the questions are very difficult, but I think if you answer honestly, you'll get a better like.
This is not response. The type of quiz where you're like, oh, what would be the best answer? There's no best answer.
No, it's your answer.
Yeah, the best answer is the one that's true.
Exactly. Like there are some questions on there that I did not want to answer because I knew what the answer was, but part of me didn't want
to admit it.
Didn't want to admit it. Yeah, that's the thing. But I think if you take this quiz honestly, then you'll get a better, like, at the end you'll get a better idea of like how they're categorizing you in those things, you know what I mean?
But also like the way I take this quiz is I try to not think too much about it, because if you start thinking too much about it, if you take too much time with answering the questions, then that's when I think your answers start to not be as truthful as they should be,
because you're censoring yourself.
Yep.
It's just like
you read and you're like, answer this.
Yeah. It's like,
it should not take you an hour to take.
No. Honestly, we'll put the link in the description for this, because I'm curious to know what you guys responses and answers are. So let us know in the comments below what you got on your quiz and what you think about how accurate it is to your personality.
I'm very interested.
I'm curious to know.
And I think that Tay's result was pretty accurate to him.
I think so too. Actually, I think all of them are pretty accurate. Ironically, like to how much like their performers and their artists, a lot of artists who I've met are definitely more introverted rather than extroverted, which is kind of the opposite of how we display ourselves to other people, which is why a lot of the time, like for my personality type, it's like that mask that you wear to like understand everybody. So like we play the part of being someone who's extroverted and who's like fun and like that kind of stuff, but we are introverted internally, which I think is interesting. And I think a lot of the BTS members are quite similar to that.